Hello again. In this particular video, we will start the approach of writing. Once you have the question paper in your hand, what you begin to do before you really start writing, that we are going to see in this particular video. But before I will take you into that, you can still have a look yet again on these four evaluation criteria, which is important for me, and that's why I have brought this slide here. Okay, so let's begin that particular. The first stage is pre-writing stage. That means before you start writing, what you have to do. Number one, much planning is not required, of course, because you don't have to think about your idea, and actually you never write down your own idea, what is reflected through the picture. Just you have to summarize that information, right? So for the first thing you need to think, that's a planning stage, I'll say, whether it's about trend or comparison or process, or they're mixed pictures, right? And the second is, what is it about? Perhaps introduction. So, and I'll discuss you. I will show it through examples just immediately after the slides. What exactly that means, so that you can have a more clarification on this. And then what can be the detailed informations? Perhaps you should sort of idea that what exactly I'll write in the first paragraph, what will I write in the second paragraph, and if there is third, what will be written in that even. And then lastly, what exactly the overall idea that this particular picture is reflecting. So what does it hit hand? That's overview. It should not take more than 1 to 2 minutes. So first, whether it is about trend comparison or what, and what is it about, and in a very brief, because you're not going to write, you just have to make an idea. Although I will show you here through writing, you just have to make an idea of this. So let's start seeing it through examples. So for example, this is my first question. So what is pre-writing stage here is, number one, it is about a comparison. So they are comparing the problems according to age group, you can see, right? So first thing. Secondly, it shows the integration problem facing while living abroad. So these are the age group who are facing different type of problems when they go abroad to live there, right? And then three types of problems will be discussed. So you're thinking about your paragraph, because three types of problem there, so it is ideally to have three body paragraph. And finally, what does it hint at? If you look closely and intensively, you'll see that it indicates that one problem is increasing consistently. You can see this one, but other two are decreasing consistently. So this can be your overview. Let's move to the second question. This is a line graph. So if this is about trend, line graphs are always about trend. It gives information about the jobs of teachers to new graduate of English and French. So these are, you can say it's a kind of comparison as well, where French teachers and English teachers, how do they get their first job after graduate, what is their percentage in that. And then because two trains are there, so of course there should be two paragraphs here describing both the train, or keep comparing 50% in the first paragraph and 50% in the second. We will talk that in details. And it indicates that after initial similarity, so you can do it in the very first look, the trend, then there is an opposite trend. So let's look at another question. This is a mixed type of question. First, you can see it's a mixed question. So both trend and comparison are discussed. Now, why do we need to know that? Because we know this kind of expressions have to be used, which will be explained later on. I'll show you how. It gives the information about population growth and the number of people over 65 years. This is their growth population according to year, and this is the comparison of this over old people with the common population. and because there are two pictures, so two paragraphs should be there covering each in one paragraph. Sometimes if they're interlinked, then perhaps we can link them in the first paragraph, and we can link them again in the second paragraph, but then we should decide that how much should be covered in the first and how much should be covered in the second. Overall, if you look closely at the picture, it indicates two opposite trends in terms of Japan's population growth and decline. That means overall population trend is different and the population trend of old people is different. Okay, so that's all about this picture. Another picture you can see here, there are again two pictures, so you can say this is a comparison, it's clearly a comparison, and gives information about eating habits of two students group and its effect on their health. So there are two students group here. You can see there are two students group A and B, and this is their eating habits and how does it affect their education, right? So clear. Because two pictures are there, so ideally there should be two paragraphs, and overall it indicates that there you will have to look it closely a bit. Indicates that more fat and less vegetables are harmful for health and it affects their attendance. So you can see it doesn't take more than 1 to 3 minutes in any case if you want to make notes, especially about overview, because you may have to think again in the end while writing overview. So perhaps you can do that in the beginning, right? Next picture is a diagram. So say it is about a description of some action and reaction. So very simple. It gives information about the effects of soil erosion on the cliff. Soil erosion. So when you look at it closely, you perhaps it is a bit of complicated picture, but yes, it's okay. You may be asked this about effects of low tide and high tide, two paragraphs. Again, overall it indicates the effects on the fossils as well as coastline. In this kind of picture, it's a bit challenging to write down an overview, but then anything you can write down which covers the overall picture. This is a process diagram, you can see. So it's about process. It's stage one, stage two. So in the first stage, in the second stage, that kind of information. Information about the life cycle of forestry, about various stages involved in the life and use of trees, and it illustrates the entire process. So again, you see, it's very challenging to find out the overview, but you need to write it. So it illustrates the entire process, right? That's fine. And now we'll take the last picture, that's map. So this simply is a comparison. You can see they're comparing two pictures. Most of the time it is like this. And it's giving you information about an island before and after constructions. You can clearly see that. We will of course divide it into two paragraphs. Either you can write the first picture in the first paragraph and the second in the second paragraph, or you will start with the changes, like what is the major changes. Starting from the major changes, you will include that in the first paragraph, and some other changes will be in the second paragraph. So both are acceptable. And then overall it indicates that areas has been developed now and will attract more tourists, right? You can see that. I hope you have understood that what should you do in the pre-writing stage. So before you really hit your paper or answer sheet, you should do this in 1 to 3 minutes time so that you can have a very better perspective of what you are going to do in your writing, right? So thank you very much for watching this video. See you very soon in the next video. Bye for then.